So today we're going to talk about the brains of the operation. This is my custom 16 space rack that I built myself with some help of some friends, but I'm going to walk through every little step with you. I'm going to show you everything I have in here, and I'm going to show you how it's done in case you want to build your own. So I've been DJing weddings for about 20 years, and one of the biggest things that held me back from, developing a more robust setup is it's daunting. It's a lot. Like, how do you use an external mixer? Where do you put it? How do you carry it? It's an extra thing to carry in. You have to set it up. Back when I had just a controller and I'll set up on a table and all that, like, how do I even imagine more than one mic? I'm going to set up 2 receivers and then all the wires and everything. How do you keep that neat? Like, it's difficult to have a more robust setup unless you have a really good system for it. And this system solves all those problems. If you wanted to add an external mixer or add multiple mics or just make life easier, I highly recommend this in some capacity. So this is my 16 space rack. So it starts out, I got a little 1 space drawer here. Now this drawer is pretty cool. I basically keep knickknacks, gum, a lighter if we need a lighter, stickers, just random shit. Just kind of in here, just knickknacks go in there. Then right below that, we have my mic setup. So I have my dual SLXD mics, right? So the 2 handheld mics. I run everything through a UA844 distro. Very, very important. Briefly, if you don't do this, I highly recommend it. I only know the Shure version, but with the Shure, this combines the antennas. So instead of having 4 antennas with these receivers, you're gonna have 2. It also amplifies the signal. It just makes life nice and easy when it comes to dropouts and things like that. Highly recommend it. Never had a problem ever since I started running everything through a distro. It also powers both receivers as well. So you can plug the power in there. Definitely legit. So this is the whole mic setup. Then right below that, we left some room for the wires, and then we have a full drawer that comes out, and then this is my Touch Mix 8. This drawer actually locks, which is pretty cool. So you have a lock here, so it can pull out this way, but then once you're done, it'll lock here, so you don't have to worry about it popping out and banging around in the back of your trailer or your box truck or whatever you use. This drawer is by Gator. I think it's a Gator Frameworks or something like that. I'm gonna link everything below, by the way, but this drawer is super legit because it comes with Velcro. You basically Velcro it to the pad here, and the pad is, soft, so kind of Velcro is really hard, it works well with the Velcro, but on top of that, it's a little pad, so the mixer is sitting on a cushion. So when you're, banging around in the back of the trailer, you don't have to worry about the mixer messing up. I think it's a lot safer for the mixer. Then over here, I have 2 spacers just to make it nice. So you can buy these spacers, they're super cheap. So these are 1 rack mount spacers, just so there's not a weird gap here. So that's all that is. Then this goes down to my Furman. I have the Furman PL Pro DMC. This one's $400 or $500. I liked it. It's blue and it's got the USB up front here and the really bright lights and all that. But you can get these as cheap as $100, $150. Regardless, I'll link this one below, but definitely use a Furman. Furmans are gonna tell you what kind of power you have, whether it's not enough or too much. People don't realize you can plug into an outlet. If that outlet's pushing out 240, the second you plug it in, you blow all your speakers. You know what I mean? You can have too much power just as much as having not enough power. And this saves you from that. You plug everything through here. It will give you an alert if anything's fucked up, but if everything's good, you're good to go. Right now we have a 123, beautiful. And then right below here is my big drawer. I think this is 3 or 4 spaces. It has a lock on it, right? So we usually lock it down here. And this drawer I use for a couple different things. The first being, it keeps my mics. So I basically bought a foam kit from Amazon and I cut out spaces for both of my mics. So my mics kind of live in here nice and safe. I also keep my batteries for my mics, right? All my mics take AA batteries, so that's where I keep my extra batteries and my business cards. And I even keep a couple wedges, things like that, just random miscellaneous stuff in this drawer, but that keeps it nice and neat. And the foam's super cheap. I'll link everything below so you can customize it to whatever you need this drawer for, but I think it's a nice little touch on the bottom. So we basically got 2 trap drawers. Now, if you just watched the first part of this video and you're a little confused, you have questions, you never built a rack before, and you're not really understanding what I'm talking about, let me slow down, take a timeout, and I'll break some things down for you. So number one, when I refer to a rack, I'm talking about the standard rack, which is 19 inches wide. This is the standard across the entire industry. No matter what brand or what kind of rack you order, it's gonna be 19 inches wide. And 19 inches is the standard for all the equipment. So if you get rack mountable microphones, they're gonna be 19 inches wide. They're gonna have a rack mount that you can attach to them to make them 19 inches wide so you can screw them direct into this rack. So that's the first thing. When you're building a rack, you wanna make sure whatever you're putting in there is rack mountable. Not all microphones are rack mountable, so check it in the description before you buy it. Now beyond that, you wanna figure out what size rack you need. How many spaces do you need? Now when I say rack space, each rack is gonna have threads for screws on either side, and one rack space is essentially my microphones, right? My microphone receivers take up one rack space. Some things could be 2 to 4 rack spaces, like my drawer on the bottom I think is 3 or 4 rack spaces. That's how they measure how big it is, how many rack rack spaces it's gonna take, right? So like basically one mic receiver is one rack space, and then it can go up from there. And another thing you wanna consider is the depth of the rack. The depth is basically the measurement between the front and the back of the rack, right? So most racks are gonna be mirrored on both sides. You're gonna have like the threads and where you can screw things in on one side, and then you're gonna have the same thing on the other side. Depth really does matter, especially when you're getting into drawers, or if you want to do like patch bays and like, cool things in the back. I'm going to show you a little later. So consider that. Now my rack depth is 16.5 inches. I think that's a perfect amount, especially if you're going to do drawers and have a patch bay in the back. You want to have that amount. Smaller racks are going to be way more shallow than that, so you may not be able to do certain of these things. Keep that in mind. And then other racks can be even bigger. Like I've seen racks with as much as 24 inches of depth, which is bananas. That's a lot. Like, what are you doing with all that? So you want to sit down and write down everything you want to have in your rack. Microphones, if you're going to run it through a distro, if you're going to have a drawer, that'll have your external mixer. If you're going to have a Furman, which is also one rack space, if you want to have different drawers like to actually store things in like I have, write all that down. Figure out how many rack spaces it's gonna take up, and then you can decide on what size rack you want. Now, while you're doing the math, figuring out what size rack you need, consider a couple things. Number one is when you add up all the equipment, right, your drawers and everything you wanna put in there, that may not be the exact number you need. You might need extra spaces beyond that for room for wires and things. Like for me, I needed a couple rack spaces above my external mixer. That way my wires could freely kind of run out of it without like touching something or being weird. So I can actually pull the mixer out on the drawer and not have an issue, right? So you want to think about spacing like that. And then on top of that, anything like a 16 space and above for the most part is going to have wheels, casters on the bottom of it so you can roll it in, roll it out. So those are the two things of why I chose a 16 space rack. Now, building the rack itself is pretty easy. You basically get screws that come with the rack. Most racks come with screws. I mean, if they don't, check the description. If they don't, you can order a bag of rack screws for a couple bucks, and it's pretty cheap, right? Because the rack screws are universal, right? It's the same thread. It's universal across everything. So you get the screws, make sure you have the screws, and you basically screw in your equipment where you want it to go. Always keep your mics toward the top, of course, because your antennas, you want them to be as high as possible for signal and whatnot. But beyond that, mess around with different configurations. See what you like best. You might have to build it a couple different times before you figure out where you like everything. And then you just kind of screw it in and run everything. It's pretty much that simple. Now, let's talk about the back of this bad boy. Now, right behind my 16 space rack is what brings it all together, and that's the patch bay. It's basically a custom patch here, and then I have a plug-in for everything. So I have an XLR for my monitor, 2 video outs, right? So these are just 2 outs out of the QSC Touch Mix that the videographer can plug into via XLR. My master XLRs that go out to the speakers are right here. My other master XLRs that go from my mixer into here, and then I have 2 AUXs. So I have AUX 1, AUX 2. I use those essentially for musicians. If I'm working with a saxophonist or a violinist, they can plug into there. They have their own channel, and then I can set it on the QSC Touch Mix. So having a patch bay, while it's not necessary, you can still make it work, makes everything a lot more easier. So I basically have that on the second rack mount here, and then in between, I have 2 blank spaces on the bottom, and then 1 on top here, just to make it a little cleaner. Everything else is kind of open in the back because we plug everything in direct to the Furman or whatnot. So it's not the prettiest in the back, but I like to keep at least the top quarter or top 30% presentable, because in case someone peeks over this facade, everything still looks nice and neat and whatnot, and just makes using it really easy. So now if you want to add a patch bay to your rack, you want to tie it all together, I'll show you how to do it now. So there's 2 ways. The first way is you let someone else do it for you. There's literally companies that offer services. You let them know what you want, they'll build it for you, they send it out in a couple weeks, and that's it. And that's a good way to go. Someone like Redco, highly recommend them. Not affiliated with them, I'm just shouting them out. Okay, redco.com, I'll put the link in the description. But if you're a DIY person, you want to build your patch bay yourself or just save money in general, this is how you do it. First, you got to get all the parts you need. I recommend markertech.com. I had the link in the description. I'm not affiliated with them, but I've ordered a lot, and I think they're great. They have everything you'd ever need. Basically, you want to start out with a panel. So a patch panel is going to look like this. You want to order one of these bad boys. It's basically a black panel that'll fit everything you need. This is just a basic one just for like XLRs. If you need something more complicated, like let's say you're going to run a antenna to it, right? So like the antenna will screw onto the back, then you're going to need a different patch panel. If you need a small, like an HDMI cable, things like that, there's different size ones, and sometimes you might have to get a custom one depending on what you're looking at, but like you basically want to map out in your head which outs you need and ins you need, and then that's how you kind of decide on which kind of panel you get. So you get a blank panel. Then from there, you want to buy all the throughs or the feeds or whatever you want to call them, all the little things where you're going to plug into them. I highly, 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 highly recommend you go Nutric for this, because you don't want it to die. Nutric is the best. It lasts forever. And they basically come in little pouches like this. So this is an XLR. They obviously make them every configuration ever. And that's where it kind of hurts my brain, because you got to figure out, okay, if I have 2 outs coming from my DJ setup, then they're going to plug in it's going to be the female out that's going to want to plug in. So I'm going to need a male out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, figuring all that out. You got to figure out which ones you're gonna need. So you figure those out, and then you buy these throughs, you buy these little feeds, and you kind of screw those into the patch bays. And then from there, you wanna get small wires, patch cables, they call them, to go from your external mixer or your microphones or whatever into the patch bay. So usually I buy those 1.5 feet-ish, okay? So right around 1.5, 2 feet. You wanna consider the length too. So like if you have a bunch of cords coming out of the external mixer and you have it on a drawer and you want the external mixer to come out on the drawer, then definitely consider that with the length of the cable, so you have enough length to pull the drawer out. And then just in general with the cables, I like to buy really good quality cables for this, because they're living in there. They're going to be there forever. You want them to last forever. You don't want one of these cables to go out. It would be very detrimental to your day if one of them went out. Don't cheap out on these. Don't go buy $9 cables for this. You could risk it for the biscuit. You do what you want, but I'm just telling you, that's a bad idea, okay? If you're spending less than $20, $30 per 1.5 foot cable, you're probably not getting the right one. And that's just my opinion. Okay, you do what you like. As far as cable brands, I don't really have a favorite other than Megami. I think Megami's fantastic, but they're just astronomical. So if you're not trying to spend Megami money, just make sure that whatever cables you get have Nutric ends. It's all about the Nutric ends. That usually is a telltale sign for a good cable. In general, in life, I basically only use cables that have Nutric ends. They're the goats. They're whatever Nutric is, whatever. I think they make them in Europe or some shit. I don't know. Whoever makes Nutrics knows what the hell they're doing. They've been the standard forever. Oh, and as far as racks, like the actual cases themselves, like they're all the same, in my opinion. I'm sorry, Odyssey, sorry, Pro X. They're all the same. I've had them all. This in particular is an Odyssey black label case, so it's black on black. I just like the look of it. That's why I bought it. They're all the same. They're all made by the same measurements, the same racks, all that stuff. Like, I haven't found a case yet that like blew my mind, but if you found one, let us know in the comments. And of course, I have a full equipment list of every single detail about this rack in the description with links and whatnot. So if there's anything you liked, check it out in the description. But as always, thank you for watching, and I got away in the DJ people. It's the Super Bowl. Peace.